Tonight's episode of Out of the Ring is brought to you by Goldberg's Jackhammers. Whether you're pounding your opponent in the pavement or just pounding pavement, Goldberg's Jackhammers. They're ready for the beating. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the all-new, all-awesome, bigger, longer, and uncut Out of the Ring. I am your host, Toonstar, and with me, as always, because he got kicked out of his apartment,
Cobalt Breeze.
Yes, we are back from hiatus. For those of you in the Colorado area who went to it, you might have seen us at Running of the Leaves 2016, where my esteemed colleague here ran his own panel, and me, I pretty much made everybody in the vendors hall rich.
Yeah, pretty much. That was the summary.
Yep, that's why we don't have any true coverage up, because I was just up there horsing around.
And we are very, very sorry that you got absolutely no Hell on the Cell coverage.
Yeah, unfortunately, things happened. While also preparing for the con, personal issues arose between us and Derek.
Why didn't we just know this was happen? It's happened before with Derek.
Because we didn't know that Derek had actually replaced Eric, because Derek is Eric's evil twin brother. Who's actually the smart one. But fortunately, we were able to resolve those personal issues. Derek is back behind bars where he belongs, and we have our lovable Eric, who keeps fucking up our recordings.
Yeah.
And that's also another reason why we had to go on hiatus, was because Eric had messed up our sound system. But here we are, back in wherever the hell new studio we have. Where are we?
I didn't check the address.
Hold on. Let me go check the window real quick.
Okay.
Eric, why is Tarek chained up next to our window? We're in Tartarus? Why, in the name of all things Luna, are we in Tartarus?
I don't remember getting here.
Oh, that's because...
Was I knocked out?
Yeah, unfortunately, Cannon helped me.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I will get payback on that guy.
Yeah, but
eventually.
I didn't even know we were in Tartarus. They really gussied up the path here. Last time it was all fire and brimstone and stuff when I played my set here.
I sadly had to miss that.
Yeah, well, we weren't doing this show then, actually.
Yeah.
And right now we're trying to get our 2 new recruits of BA6 up and ready. Yes, but more on that later. Right now, we have wrestling matches to cover.
Oh, yes, we do.
Yes, and as we lead up to Survivor Series, which we will cover, and that you have my promise, we found this Raw to be terribly exciting.
Emphasis on terrible, Toonster?
I was hoping the emphasis would be on exciting. But then I have to deal with you and Eric, so yeah, I guess emphasis on terrible.
Yeah. But you have to keep in mind, it's Raw.
Yes. And speaking of Raw, you guys at Going In Raw can eat a dick. Because we are the better show. And we deliver to you now the first match of the night, Sheamus and Cesaro versus Reigns and Owens. And boy, what a match this was. So, before this all began, Stephanie and Foley showed up and introduced all the members of Team Raw. This included the 5-man elimination, the match between Sami Zayn and the Intercontinental Champion, who is either Dolph Ziggler or The Miz, depending on the outcome tomorrow. And of course, Of course, Brian Kendrick, who is the current Cruiserweight champion.
Who got it from Perkins.
Yep, going up against SmackDown's Kalisto. And not only is the championship up for grabs in that match, but also the entire, and I do mean the entire, Cruiserweight division. So this coming Sunday, or this coming Tuesday, the Cruiserweight, or next Tuesday, the Cruiserweight division might be on SmackDown.
Gambling divisions.
Yes. Unfortunately, that's the only division that's up for grabs. Next, of course, is the 5 women elimination team. And then the 10-man tag team elimination challenge.
Ooh.
Yes. All that on Survivor Series.
10 men from Raw. 10 men from SmackDown versus each other.
Yes. But now, let's talk about Sheamus and Cesaro, the odd couple of the Raw Tag Team Division, and Roman Reigns, your current United States Champion, and Kevin Owens, your current Universal Champion, teaming up to fight against Sheamus and Cesaro. Not teaming up with them. Because the first match of the night is the odd couple versus the champions. And of course, in spectacular fashion for all 4 men, we saw amazing feats of athleticism, from flying forearms to elbow uppercuts to barrel rolls, or cannonballs, I should say, to frog splashes, to Celtic warriors, to Swiss supermen. But in the end, it was Reigns and Owens who triumphed, as it seemed that they were able to put aside their differences and make a better tag team than Sheamus and Cesaro, who have currently surprised everybody as being the tag team nobody knew would actually succeed.
Or stay together.
Yes. Next thing you know, they'll be exchanging emails and meeting up for late night rendezvous.
Yeah.
Then of course the rings come out. And they will be tag team partners for all time. In sickness, in health, till death does us part.
Oh.
You have to remember, it's a new era for the WWE.
Yep.
So it's all legal. Moving on from that, I pass the mic now to my wandering assistant.
Next match is Sami Zayn versus Bo Dallas. As everyone has been listening to previous episodes of the show, Bo Dallas has been just been doing jobber matches. But Sami Zayn, from my part, it seemed after a while, I was assuming it was just going to end up being a jobber match, a jobber-ish match. But the outcome ended up being wrong. Sami Zayn won, and just Bo Dallas hyping up for Survivor Series pretty much was that. So back to Toon Star.
People wonder why I do all the talking, because like SmackDown, I am the better show. Next up is the New Day. Yes, it is versus Jericho, Strowman, and Rollins. Now this is an interesting matchup. As you know, the New Day is captain of the tag team division for that 10-man tag team event at Survivor Series. Jericho, Strowman, and Rollins are part of the 5-man Team Raw elimination match. And just before this match began, Jericho tried to bring his teammates together by giving them gifts from Jericho. And they turned out to be scarves. Rollins kindly yet sarcastically gave Jericho the scarf back, saying that he simply wasn't a scarf man. He thanks him for the gift, though. And, of course, Strowman wanted Jericho's scarf, his $750 scarf. And Jericho, in the interest of unity, decided to trade them. And Jericho put on Strowman's scarf, which was a nautical one, complete with anchors and stuff. And in return, Strowman tore up Jericho's original scarf, saying that he hates scarves. Way to bring your team together for that one, Jericho. But as we get to the actual match, of course, we have the New Day, your 2-time 400-plus day WWE World Tag Team Champions, taking on Jericho, Strowman, and Rollins, as I previously stated. And this couldn't have been like the oddest of odd couples. Coming back to Raw, we learned that last week that Rollins had power bombed Jericho on top of Strowman through a table. I kind of wish we hadn't been on hiatus for that one. That would have been an interesting match to cover. Mm-hmm. Unless that was the only interesting part, then Raw can suck it again. But anyway, so this was an interesting match. You had on one hand an extremely cohesive tag team who, of course, as I stated, has been tag team champions for 400 plus days and twice, as they successfully defended their tag team champions at SummerSlam. And then you have Jericho, Strowman, and Rollins. All three of these guys hate each other. And yet, somehow, through very, very, very slim odds, Jericho, Strowman, and Rollins managed to pull it off, mainly due to Strowman's fierce strength. If you ask me, Team Raw's ace in the hole is Braun Strowman. But brute strength can only get you so far. And with that, I pass the mic off again to, maybe he'll give us a better performance this time. Back to you, Cobalt.
This next match started off with Kendrick in the backstage talking to the rest of the Cruiserweight division, and that Brian Kendrick will be competing against Kalisto for previously stated the entire division online to possibly move to SmackDown if Kalisto wins. But Sin Cara interrupted for the to state what Kendrick was in for, but Kendrick, being Kendrick, spent too much as third, because Sin Cara used to be tag team partners with Kalisto, and that Sin Cara would help Kalisto win, but which started off into this match. This match was Sin Cara versus Kendrick, and what a match! What a match this was! As Kendrick
sucks.
And
I'm sorry. Am I throwing off your game?
Yes, you are, and I'm trying my best.
# Cobalt really sucks. Tweet.
Aside from my from Toonstar's bantering against me, Kendrick fought Sin Cara. Things happened. Kendrick had practice against the luchador style of wrestling. How Kalisto would perform in the match, because of course the Lucha Dragon, them being the Lucha Dragons, when both Sin Cara and Kalisto were tag team partners, they had the same fighting wrestling style, so it was really good practice. But in the end, Kendrick won. And Toonstar, you can now explain the next match.
Okay, I am back, folks,
but it's actually a promo next.
And according to our contract, we have to do promos together.
So, Goldberg and Lesnar talked.
Goldberg. That, of course, is the general sentiment of the entire arena.
And we had rent-a-cops dividing the ring.
Hey. Those proud men in uniform are not rent-a-cops. They were there to protect Brock Lesnar from Goldberg.
I thought it was the other way around.
Oh, Brock Lesnar needs the security. Because if Brock Lesnar gets beat up and his face gets all messed up, his moneymaker is out the window. Of course, if Paul Heyman gets messed up, his moneymaker's out the window as well. But Goldberg, he can take a beating. He can get smashed, crashed, broken, bruised, bloodied, and still come back for more, and it wouldn't make a goddamn difference, because he is Goldberg. Goldberg.
But Suplex City, bitch.
Jackhammers wreck Suplex City. Besides, I've seen Suplex City. It's a dump. A little urban renewal would do it some good.
Like Detroit?
Yes, exactly like Detroit. Suplex City should be called Sellout City. Walking in
a man sponsors Jimmy John's once, and he's called a sellout.
Yes. Goldberg never advertised McDonald's. Goldberg never took Jerry's place for Subway. No! Goldberg knows only one thing and one thing only, and that is wrestling. And that is why the only thing he sponsors is WWE 2K17. Pick it up at your local video game store now.
If you pre-order, you get Goldberg.
Actually, it's already for sale.
Oh, yeah.
But
nice.
They did just release the Goldberg download pack for everybody.
Really?
Yes.
I think I called it, because I think I remember saying they're eventually going to just give it to everyone.
Yes.
Because they always do. They gave Ultimate Warrior for 2K16.
And, of course, Goldberg, the man, the myth, the legend, did talk to Brock Lesnar, but mainly to Paul Heyman. And mainly to tell him to shut the hell up, Heyman!
Pretty much.
Just like I tell him to do every night. He comes out, and I have to hear that little bald-headed, short, fat man talk about his client, Brock Sellout. Anyway, we move on to the next match, which is Charlotte and Sasha Banks versus Nia Jax and Alicia Fox. Now, this one was a tough one to call. Mainly because these folks, none of these ladies like each other very much. Jax and Fox, of course, had their issues in the past, and of course, Charlotte and Banks still have their issues. So it was a matter of egos. Unfortunately, Bayley was left out of the match. She was there in the announcer's box. We may not have gotten wacky waving inflatable arm flailing two men, but we still got hugs. Mm-hmm. But anyway, this one was very difficult to call, and Eric, you did not write down the outcome.
But I think, luckily, I remember the outcome.
So do I! But since you said you remember it so well, let's hear it.
It was Charlotte and Banks.
Oh, yes, Charlotte and Banks. I remember it so vividly. Just making sure that our facts were straight.
Yeah.
I knew it all along.
Because I remember Bayley coming to do the hand thing.
Yeah. But Charlotte and Banks won this match. Somehow they were able to overcome their collective egos and bring down the house.
Interesting. Ego clash.
Yes. Jax and Fox actually were able to put aside their differences for the entire match and work together, actually. So it goes to prove that even if you do put aside your egos, you still may not actually come on top. Especially when you're facing the two best women in Raw's division. Hey, let's face it, they're the only ones keeping Raw's women division afloat. Aside from Bayley. Bayley, you should really jump ship over to SmackDown. They could use the star power. Anyway, I now pass the mic off to my co-host, who hopefully has recovered from the burn unit that I sent him to.
Am I reading that right? Golden Truth and Shining Stars versus Club and Certified G.
Yes. And if you're confused, Certified G is Enzo Amore and Big Cass.
Because you can't teach that?
Apparently you can't teach Eric how to do things right either.
No. So Golden Truth does their entrance, yay. But Shining Star, and the stipulation was that Shining Stars and Golden Truth were tag team partners because Golden Truth traded their tag team championship opportunity for a stay at the Shining Stars Resort in beautiful Puerto Rico.
Putzes.
So that's why they're presenting at the Shining Stars Resort. So yeah, but on the other end, it was the Club, Anderson and Gallows, and Enzo and Cass. This was an interesting match as there was blows between each one, but at the very end, pretty much as credited certified club. Thank you, Eric. Won.
Yes, thank you for that, Eric. If you're confused, it's Gallows and Anderson and Enzo and Cass. But now we come to the end of our night, which is the Brand Clash.
Once in a while, we got an invasion.
Yes. But let's talk about how this all started. See, this all started a long, long time ago when Vincent Kennedy McMahon and his wife decided to bang. And they had two itty-bitty little children that they named Stephanie and Shane. And those two itty-bitty little children grew up to compete for Daddy's attention. And currently they are competing for Daddy's attention by commanding the two flagship shows of WWE, Raw and SmackDown Live. And so, just to try and rub salt in the wound or dirt in his face, Stephanie asked her brother and his general manager, Daniel Bryan, to come to Raw to discuss the circumstances of Survivor Series. Their response? Yes! 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 And so they came to Raw. And of course, brother and sister bickered. Their GMs backed them up. And then, when things got a little too heated by the fact that Shane is actually competing in a 5-man elimination match in Survivor Series as part of Team SmackDown, Stephanie decided to call her boys Team Raw, which consists of Roman Reigns, Kevin Owens, Chris Jericho, Braun Strowman, and Seth Rollins. But if you thought that the heads of SmackDown Live came alone, you are wrong, baby! Because the invasion happened, and in came Team SmackDown, which includes Shane McMahon, AJ Styles, Dean Ambrose, Bray Wyatt, and the Viper, Randy Orton.
Recently added to the Wyatt family.
Yeah, that happened.
We missed that.
Yeah, we missed it.
Hiatus and all.
Yeah. So, words were thrown, so were insults, and then finally, punches.
Yep.
As first came the the standoff and the verbal assault from the two main champions of both shows. Then of course came Jericho, and then Strowman, and then Wyatt.
Bray addressing that's Strowman. That's Strowman.
And then Randy Orton, who actually didn't say anything.
No.
And then the two members of the Shield former members of the Shield that made it on Raw. And then finally Dean Ambrose, who only said ums and woes.
Yeah.
Before unleashing a volley of attacks.
Yeah.
On Team Raw. And it was a big melee. A super melee. It was a SmackDown versus Raw melee. Unfortunately, the one thing that I wanted to happen didn't happen.
And what was that, Toonstar?
Well, as you know, tomorrow is SmackDown's 900th episode.
I know.
And there are two very important, very special guests appearing for that 900th episode.
And who are those?
Those are the Rated R superstar, Edge. And the Dead Man, the Phenom. The one, the only, the Undertaker.
I feel the anticipation for tomorrow's episode.
What I wanted to happen was that at the point when Roman Reigns, Superman punched the members of Team SmackDown out of the ring for the lights to go down and to hear the bell toll, and Undertaker to come in and tombstone Seth Rollins. Or, once again, I apologize, Roman Reigns. Yes.
Honestly, I believe just tombstone anyone.
Yeah, just Undertaker show up and wreck house. It would have been amazing. But unfortunately that didn't happen. But this whole brand clash got us super excited for Survivor Series. And Team Raw did show up Team SmackDown on the home field advantage. If Team Raw has the guts to show up on SmackDown's 900th episode, I have a feeling that the reverse will be true. And yes, they also might have to deal with Edge and Undertaker. But for now, they can rest knowing that they may have beaten Team SmackDown tonight. But Sunday, it may be a different story. Titles may change. Whole divisions may be on different shows. But the one thing that will always be true is that SmackDown will forever be the better show. And for Out of the Ring, I have been Toonstar.
And I have been Cobalt.
And you can't teach that. Good night, everybody. Once again, tonight's episode of Out of the Ring has been brought to you by Goldberg's Jackhammers. Whether there's a pesky crack in your pavement or a pesky bald man with a fat man advertising for him, Goldberg's Jackhammers will get the job done. Goldberg's Jackhammers, available at every rated R hardware store.